Hello, my name is Sarah Bollinger. I'm a Manlius Town Councilor, and I'm here today to present some information about zone changes. A group of people have been working for about a year to develop new zoning classifications for our commercial properties in the Town of Manlius. And this video, which will run 12 to 15 minutes, is intended to provide you with some background. Written materials are also available, and there will be opportunities for public comment. I'm now going to share the screen. This is to talk about the commercial zones in the Town of Manlius. The Town of Manlius has a number of information that's already available online on a site called ecode360.com. If you just type in code Manlius, it usually comes up. All of our zoning is in Chapter 155, and it's easy to search. You can use this section here to search for something in particular if you're looking for it. We do anticipate that if all of these changes are approved, they will then be uploaded to this site, and you could review them at any time at your convenience. The purpose of the Planning Process Committee was to address zone inconsistencies. Most of the zones were uploaded in 1991, so some of them were a little bit outdated, and they had all been written by different people at different times, and so there was not a lot of consistency. So what we did was create a template. So every code now starts with a purpose and intent. It includes design principles and then permitted uses. Another thing that we looked at was we did classify restaurants into some categories that are consistent with industry standards. But it made it easier for people to know what kind of restaurant you either have or might be planning to know where it would fit within the code. The main thing we did was create this chart. We took the wording about permitted uses out of the narrative and put it into this chart. The chart's much bigger than this. It's just a section. What we'd like to ask of you is please look this over carefully, and if there's something missing that is something that you do on your property that's not in this permitted use group, please let us know so that we can add it. We want this to be as comprehensive as possible, understanding that new things will come up over time and we can't think of absolutely everything, but we want to be sure that over this summer, while we're doing this public comment period, if there's something that we missed, that we do include it. The other thing we did was we did want to make sure that uses that were currently happening would be still permitted. So we did try to make that consistent. So if there's anything that you're doing that you think is not reflective of the X's in your area, please let us know that. The only thing we consciously changed was that there was quite a bit of restrictiveness around outdoor seating in the old code, and we did loosen that up because outdoor seating is quite popular now. I wanted to also let you know that we engaged a company called General Code. General Code does this work for municipalities all the time. And they went through and did an editorial and legal analysis to be sure that we were up to date with all state and federal regulations. And they also made sure that to correct any grammatical or spelling errors. So that part has been done effective fall 2019. And now the Planning Process Committee is just reviewing things that they brought to our attention that might require town action of some sort. All right, to go through the codes as we have them, the first one is called neighborhood shopping. And the purpose of this zoning district is to permit small-scale commercial, retail, and personal service establishments in proximity to residential neighborhoods. So there's quite a bit of flexibility in this zoning district, but the purpose was to make it so that it was not infringing on the quiet enjoyment of the residential neighbors that would be close by to this. The Planning Process Committee feels that this neighborhood shopping district may be a little underutilized, and we would like to see the comprehensive planning group take a look at perhaps putting neighborhood shopping in more areas around the town. There's quite a lot of flexibility with the design principles, as you can see from the diversity of buildings that are currently permitted in this district. The next district is regional shopping, and this really only applies to town center, and its purpose was simply to permit the conversion of Fayetteville Mall to town center. The workhorse of commercial zoning is commercial A. This zoning is intended to permit a wide variety of commercial and retail businesses. It's not particularly restrictive, although we do, look at parking, screening, and lighting, but the goal is to permit businesses to operate in areas that are probably not so close to a residential area and where there's a sort of more of a commercial feel. Commercial B allows a few things that are not allowed in Commercial A. That would include gas stations, and there, it permits a little bit more noise and lighting perhaps than would be permitted in Commercial A. And then all the way to industrial. This zoning classification is intended to include manufacturing, commercial, industrial operations. It might have more noise, more big trucks, more large equipment operating, that kind of thing. But in the town of Manlius, there are some industrially zoned areas that are actually mixed use and have some residential homes in them. So this amendment to the industrial zone provides a mechanism for acknowledgement. So if somebody were to buy a house in an industrial area, they would need to acknowledge that they understand that they bought an industrial district and that their neighbor could build a factory next door, just so that they understand the nature of the zoning that they're in. The next thing we looked at was that we had some issues with zoning permissions that we had struggled with. And they related to this residential mixed use. So residential mixed use is the last zone of the residential group where it butts up against the commercial zones. And residential mixed use, as you can see from this, is designed to allow for for commercial type units adjacent to and sort of embedded with residential. The green is residential and the yellow is these more commercial sites. So they're really right next to each other. And the original plan was to permit these residential, sort of no longer functional homes to be used for businesses. We felt that there was kind of a big gap between this sort of nice residential mixed use to all the way to neighborhood shopping. So we thought that there may be a gap. And in fact, there were issues in 2014, 2018, and 2019 where the board struggled with a zoning request that didn't quite seem to fit the categories that we currently have. So we are proposing a new category, which is called Transitional Business District. So the Transitional Business Zone is designed to permit low impact professional, retail, personal service, and business establishments in convenient proximity to residential neighborhood while minimizing the impact such uses may have on adjacent residential neighborhoods. So this is intended to be low impact. It still can be a successful business, but we wanted it to be something that really blended with a residential area, which would include a little bit more site plan review with regard to pedestrian access, lot coverage, parking, screening, lighting, noise, those kinds of things. There currently are no sites that are zoned this way because this zone doesn't exist right now, but the Town of Manlius welcomes landowners or developers to propose parcels that you believe may fit the purpose and intent of this new zone. The next thing we did was to look at some zoning areas that may not be functional anymore, and we found this 155.12.1 Technology Development Office Overlay. This zone was added in 2008, but it was never used. The development that was planned at that time never came to fruition. So we feel this would be an opportunity just to clean that up and get rid of this extra zone that is not necessary at the moment. The other thing we did was we did review the definitions of terms so that if you were looking to develop a new project, that you would be able to tell what we meant by things like setback, lot coverage, those kinds of things, so that they'd be very much clearer to people and you could make your own judgment about whether the land that you have would be appropriate for the kind of project that you were hoping to develop. The Planning Process Committee was formed by the Town Board in March 2018 to address omissions and inconsistencies in the current zoning code. We did engage in that process. We brought on the code company to do an evaluation, and then as a separate action, we've also introduced legislation to delegate special use permits to the planning board. Here's the members of the planning process committee, and then right now this is open for public comment. So we would really like you to think about this, read the materials that are available on our website, contact me directly, or submit public comment to Allison Weber at townofmanlius.org, or to mail it to our office, or to attend the public hearing July 22nd via Zoom. And we would love to hear from you how these zoning changes, improvements, clarities will help you, or if there's something that we missed or forgot, we would really like to hear from you. So please submit the public comment, and we would love to see you. We'd love to see you on July 22nd. Thank you.